What is up, Earthnoids and Space Noids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are beginning our coverage of Volume 2, Mobile Suit Gundam, Advance of Zeta, Flag of Titans. Last volume, Conrad defended Elliot Hunter in court. He needed witnesses, so he tracked down his old friends, Carl Matsubara and Audrey April, to testify. Conrad is certain that he cleared Elliot's name for a few of his charges, but the trial isn't close to being over. In the past, they were up against Titans insurgents, and everyone is at a loss for who they were. This time, Conrad leaks information to journalists in the hopes to get the word out. In the past, a Federation comrade defects to the AU, and the Titans test team heads to the Earth sphere to get a new mobile suit. So let's get into this. February UC 0086. Rumors run rampant on the Aswan regarding the Titans insurgents. Carl and Elliot took great pride in being a Titan, so the fact that people would be rising up is foreign to them. Compay Island is near Side 6 and Side 1, but one cannot reach their location without a carrier or shuttle of the sorts. For the first time, it seems Elliot is questioning the Titans. Then Mechanic Pete mentions that they are sending over a Galbaldi Beta from Luna 2. Usually they would send the unit and leave it to the Titans test team to test it, but the Federation is sending one of their own people. Murphy introduces the team to Maxim Gunner. Murphy and Maxim happen to have fought alongside one another during the Delaz conflict. Maxim thanks the colony for supporting them in the rear during the colony incident. He's been helping out Basque's team. Apparently, he was a Titans recently until he was kicked out. Elliot still wonders what is up with the civilian shuttle and the Zanzibar. He also has so many questions about that day. He tells them that Zeon remnants are laying low because of the AUG, as they have moved from being a movement to an army. 16 hours later, both the Titans test team and the Federation team launches as they spot an unidentified ship approaching. Elliot heads out in the Hazel 2, but as he launches, suddenly the Galbaldi Beta launches as well without permission. July UC 0088. Conrad is talking to Hendrik about the legacy of the Gundam. The Titans test team, like Grips, were playing around with adding the legendary Gundam to their arsenal. But Compay Island's approach is different. They put a Gundam head on a gem. The power of adding a head did such tremendous psychological influence, as it helped draw out the Zeon remnants. Carl mentions that he didn't get to pilot a Gundam until later, unlike Murphy and Elliot. Murphy gained notoriety during the Battle of Solomon. Hendricks mentions that the Gundam development changed after the colony incident, but conflict with the AU went from minor to full-out war after the Gundam was stolen at Green Noah 1. This, of course, is talking about Camille and the Mark II. The team didn't even know about the mobile suit being stolen. After the AU started using the Hyakushiki, it was clear that the symbol that once belonged to the Federation now belongs to the AU. The Federation wanted to distance themselves from the Gundam image, which is why development on Compay Island changed. Of course, the Titans test team were oblivious to all of this at the time. Conrad wants to know about the type of Gundams being developed at Compay Island. That is when Joanna gets a phone call, and she tells them to call back on a secure line. They are investigators with regards to the people who broke into Conrad's home last volume. It appears the two intruders are federal soldiers named Kelly Brown and Thomas Tyler, and are stationed here at Nevada base. Their commander is named Jeffrey Portman. Conrad seems to know him. Portman was once stationed on the moon and is known to be more Space-Noid-leaning while detesting the Titans. He was under Commodore Milkov. There's a direct line to the person in charge of the court-martial. Conrad is certain that they are after Audrey and Hendrik, but is uncertain if this is an order from above or someone acting on their own. They wonder if they even have a chance. They're still working with some journalists to leak info and decide to leak the names of these soldiers. Even if the Federation controls all of the media on Earth, which they don't, they can't possibly control the flow of information from the colonies. Conrad doesn't think Milkov has anything to do with this. It's probably all Portman's doing. February UC 0086. The Titans test team is told to capture the Galbaldi Beta. This is specifically the high mobility type. The RMS 117 Galbaldi Beta high mobility type is a prototype mobile suit. It mounts the booster pod that is also on the Hazel with the help of the unit's hardpoints, which makes it a high mobility type. This also equips a 240mm cannon and 3-tube missile pod. It has an apogee binder and can optionally mount a disc radome system, which helps in high Minovsky particle density. It has the machine gun Kai, which is a reverse-engineered version of Zeon's 120mm machine gun. Other weapons include a beam saber, a beam rifle similar to the Gelgoogs, an extendable shield with a missile launcher, and the smart beam gun that will later be used by the Zeku Eins. Carl has the opportunity to shoot it down right now, but they have to capture it. They pick up a signal from the unidentified vessel saying they are 7 minutes out. It seems someone stole the unit and is fleeing to the ship. The Galbaldi will most likely have to use all of its propellant to adjust its course with the ship. He reaches out to the pilot It happens to be Maxim. He says that he isn't returning to a Titans-controlled EFF. Elliot realizes the unidentified ship is an AUG vessel. He tells him to turn back. Elliot still has a clear shot. Maxim fires at Elliot, causing Carl to fire at him. The Garibaldi dodges, but it tries to use as little propellant as possible. Elliot calls the AUG terrorists, but Maxim states that it is the Titans who are the terrorists. He says that he experienced it himself. He doesn't know what experience Maxim is referring to. UC 0088. Joanna has passed intel onto the journalists. Now they just have to wait for someone to pick up their stories. They wonder if the journalists will work fast enough, as the court-martials are moving fast. Conrad trusts in the judicial system to fix it, but the others aren't confident. They look at him awkward, going, "You just told us every reason why not to trust them. Why are you trusting them?" A Ryu Kidishima is talking to his editor, Michael Chang. He tells him about the story regarding Conrad. He doesn't seem interested in the drama of the court-martial, but instantly becomes interested once he learns that it involves a Gundam pilot. The name of the game at this tabloid is Sensationalism Over Journalism, or articles about the Gundam sells newspapers. But when he hears that Elliot is a part of the Titans, he starts to lose interest. He wants to run the story as an attempt by the Federation to silence the Gundam pilots. They want to erase the fact that the Titans created and operated the Gundam. Not only that, they want to erase the memory of the disgraceful past where the Earth Federation forces were controlled by the Titans. They are afraid that their exploits with tinkering with the Gundam will get out to the public. The Gundams created on Green Noah 1 were created by Anaheim Electronics. Ryo believes that some kind of deal happened between Anaheim Electronics and the Federation that made EFF halt their Gundam production on Compay Island. Something similar seemed to have happened with AE after the Delaz conflict as well. Ryu says that it isn't a story about the Gundam. This is about collusion between Anaheim Electronics and EFF. The editor tells him to have a first draft on his desk ASAP. UC 0086. Elliot was aware that the AUG was gaining considerable power. However, the AUG was still a new force. There shouldn't have been enough time to groom Maxim as a spy. They brought the Garibaldi with them for testing. So this is all not adding up for Elliot, as Murphy and Maxim were former comrades. He has remained silent since Maxim defected. March, UC 0087. 1 year has passed. The AUG have only gained more support since Maxim defected. Everyone on the Aswan gathered in front of the TV broadcasting the news. There's a battle happening at the L3 point, where both Side 7 and Luna 2 are located. They realize the fight with the AUG are no longer small insurgencies. They are full-scale wars. Carl believes that since the AUG are backed by corporations, they are just corporate shills trying to help the rich control the world. Elliot seems to believe the same thing. They get called into a briefing. Everyone is tense as they are about to get dragged into war. Many, I'm sure, are still recovering from their one-year war PTSD. Some cut the tension by joking around, as they know this briefing is going to involve war. Captain Otto Peterson comes into the briefing room. He tells the team that they are leaving Compay Island and heading towards Earth's satellite orbit. There, they will receive parts for a new mobile armor. They will also help fortify Earth's defenses. He says to prepare for battle in low Earth orbit. While they head to Earth, the GRIPS defense team is heading to Luna 2 to fortify the asteroid. However, everyone still has one lingering question. What was the direct reason for the Titans and the AUG starting the fight? Unfortunately, Captain Peterson did not provide an answer to the immediate question. They still don't know about the Colony 30 incident. They notice that the AUG are using green Gem 2s. Even though there are differences between the Gem 2 and the Nemo, the Titans can't see that difference. After the briefing, they continue watching the news as the GRIPS team goes into action. Audrey comes up and says she knows the cause of the GRIPS incident. She heard news on the internet that it is because the AUG stole a new mobile suit being developed by GRIPS. Elliot learns that even GRIPS has been developing Gundams. He wonders if Maxim Gunner knew about the Gundam. Maybe he was the reason they were able to steal it. That makes Elliot spiral and wonder if he could have stopped the theft of the Mark II if he simply stopped Maxim. He feels like a new one-year war is upon them. They make it to Earth's satellite orbit and receive a briefing from Murphy. The next operation will be using the Fiver. He says that this unit is the only support that they will need. They're confused by what this new unit is. They later realize that the TR-5 is so big that they have to assemble it outside of the Aswan. The ORX 005 Gaplant TR-5 Fiver is a heavy assault variant of the Gaplant TR-5. The base machine of the Fiber is a Gaplant with new sensors installed and the beam cannons removed. Two defensive binders are attached to the backpack unit and the Gaplant's arms. This is designed for precision drop missions, and this unit can effectively drop down and do a bombing run all on its own. Each binder can also carry one escort mobile suit. This unit has an I-field generator. Weapons include a diffuse beam cannon, a long blade rifle, and a booster shield. Elliot is amazed by the sight of the unit. Conrad wakes up to Hendrik, Carl, and Audrey looking at the TV. They're watching the news where the Federation raided a local newspaper. The editor-in-chief tells the viewers that this is suppression of free speech. They are forcing them to recall today's newspapers. Joanna happened to get a copy before it was recalled. The article was about the 2 Federation soldiers that broke into Conrad's home. The 2 soldiers were named in the article as well. In order for the Feddies to raid the newspaper, they needed the judiciary courts to sign off on it. Not only did they do that, but they did this swiftly. Conrad is the type of guy that understands that the world sucks, but he puts his faith in the judicial system. If he doesn't have that, then this is nothing more than totalitarianism. He is losing faith in the system. But he wonders how determined this Michael Chang is. Once they begin publishing again, he needs to double down. The journalist seems to be on board if it sells. Remember, journalism comes second to selling papers. He and Joanna plan on going to the Justice Bureau. Carl wonders if they are crossing a dangerous bridge. Conrad says if they play dirty, maybe they have to play dirty. Things are different during this hearing. Everyone is uneasy. Conrad tells Elliot about the Federation soldiers that tried to shoot Hendrik and Audrey. Gordon continues asking similar questions regarding the Colony 30 incident and the incident with the Ashimar. The Commodore tells him to ask something new or end their line of questioning. The prosecution rests their case. The judge reminds both of them that he won't tolerate any more wasting of the court's time. The court is adjourned for the day. March UC 0087. The Aswan orbits Earth. The Hazel is equipped for use in Earth's atmosphere, and Fiverr is good to go. A Salamis Kai-class ship will run support. This is the Izmir. Grips is giving them the Izmir, but they don't have any mobile suits. So Captain Otto Peterson is transferring them to the other ship. In this mission, they are to attack a secret Karaba base. The Fiverr and all of the test mobile suits will be transferred with them. He tells them to prepare for the mission. Carl thinks that this is crazy that they are going to use test units in active battle. Having Karaba work with the AUG shows that this is a full-out war now. They approach the Izmir and begin transferring mobile suits. During the transfer, the alarms go off. 3 AUG mobile suits approach their 3 o'clock. They have to protect the Izmir and the Fiverr. The 3 approaching units are Gem 2s. Quickly, Elliot and Murphy do some damage to the Gems and swiftly make the retreat. Murphy says what a way to be greeted to the Earth sphere. Back on the Zanzibar, we learn that Larson lost a leg during the previous battle with the Titans mobile suits. He doesn't think he has a purpose anymore. But Zola tells him as long as he lives, that's all that matters. Their existence is enough for Zeon. It seems Zola is leaning towards having their Zeon Remnant group join the AUG as they are at least fighting for the Space Noids. Larson was hoping that they would join Axis, but they can't wait forever, and they aren't sure which direction Axis will lean towards in this war. They are to rendezvous with the ship in 10 minutes. From this day forward, their Zanzibar will be a part of the AUG. When in battle, he could find a place of peace even during all the chaos. When Elliot was imprisoned, his mindset was that he was a dead man walking, but Conrad gave him hope. For the first time, Elliot even thought about what he would do if he were freed. His mindset switched, and he wanted to live. His first thoughts were that he would want to return to the battlefield. He wants to be in a mobile suit again. He now desires to win. UC 0088. Sure enough, the sight of the editor Michael Chang on TV spouting suppression of free speech worked, as it boosted sales of the newspaper. Ryu Kirishima, the writer of the article, needs to lay low. He was planning on bailing in the middle of the night, but as he was leaving, military vehicles pulled up to his place. We learn his real intentions for writing the article was that he wanted to date Conrad's assistant Joanna, and is merely trying to impress her. Dude's willing to risk it all for Fetty Puss. He knew he was being used by her, but he thought it was worth it. Oh boy, I think that might be the textbook definition of a simp. As they surround his house, he gets into his car and takes off. They aren't going to risk shooting Kirishima and having a scandal on their hands. He takes off down the street. UC 0087. Captain of the Izmir, Thomas Schrader, orders Murphy and the team to head down to Earth to take out a terrorist group that is backed by the AUG. Audrey mentions that the captain's name back in the day was Icicle because he is cold as ice and really sharp. He also never let a single subordinate die. He was commanding a Salamis-class ship during the 1-year war when he was still just in his 20s. The hangar preps the Hazel II, and the Rosette. The team meets Jonathan Cohen, the chief mechanic of the Izmir. He introduces Rachel Sand. The Fiverr can enter the atmosphere and bring 2 mobile suits with it. They are going to attack the Hazel II and the Rosette. The mechanics are excited to work with something so beastly, so to speak. The pilots seem like they're in good hands. The Fiverr launches and enters into Earth's atmosphere. They modified the Hazel II into what they are calling the Advanced Hazel. The RX-121-2A Gundam TR-1 Advanced Hazel.
is a remodeled version of Hazel 2. It has a high-powered optical sensor just like the GEM Sniper 3. Leg enhancements and supplemental boosters have been added. The shield booster was tested on the Garibaldi, but after its pilot defected, the Hazel was used, giving it this new designation. The shield booster contains propellant tanks and a single thruster with an output of 22,000 kilograms. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, a beam rifle, a 90mm machine gun, and a shield. The Fiver begins entering into the gravitational well of Earth. Zola looks up at the Ashimar that was captured by the AU. He recounts his battles with Murphy. Up until this moment, he was working with inferior mobile suits. If he could get his hands on a modern mobile suit, that could change everything for him. Zola talks to an AU officer. They have an awkward first interaction. Great first impression, buddy. The Izmir became the new test ship, while the Aswan focused more on fighting the AU. One of the new pilots is Ensign Claude Leibel. On the Izmir, Audrey and the team are gossiping about this new pilot. She thinks that Murphy is still the best. Audrey will be piloting the Advance Zeta, while Claude will be piloting the Hududu. The Hududu is similar to the G-Fighter of the One-Year War, reminding them that this isn't all about mobile suits. These two are engaged in a simulated battle. She notes that the additions to the unit allow it to snipe and support others, instead of being limited to short-range assaults. The two engage in battle. Audrey's tenacity isn't enough for the Hududu. She understands what Elliot meant when he said it's like riding a wild beast. She realized she overused the thrusters, and Claude was patient and waited it out. After the battle, Audrey notes that she used too much of her thrusters too early. She wants to update the operating system to rival the next generation of mobile suits. The red alert goes off on the ship, and Audrey is told to launch. She looks up and notes that the Hududu is attached to the Hazel Advance. They haven't tested this unit yet, so she is mad that she will have to do it live on the battlefield. The captain says that there are 3 Gem 2s that belong to the AU. They won't receive any support from the Aswan. She launches in this new unit called Hazel Raw. The RX-121 plus the FX-29A Gundam TR-1 Hazel Raw is a combination of the Hududu and the Hazel Custom. This adds additional thrusters to the Hazel and binders that provide high mobility. When equipped with the Hududu parts, the Hazel Custom's beam rifle becomes a long blade rifle that can be used for long-range sniper attacks. Other weapons include a beam saber, Vulcans, a shield booster, and a multi-purpose launcher. Audrey's unit is superior in every way. She is agile enough to take out the 2 gems. The final one retreats. She whips out the long blade rifle and snipes the remaining unit. She does like that this mobile suit is quite useful. Kuraba's Kamchatka base is built on an abandoned mining site. The Ashimar that was stolen is supposed to make its way to the base soon. The alarms go off. Zola is informed of base jabbers coming in. He is a Xeon remnant of the former Space Forces. Subflight systems for use in Earth's atmosphere are still a new concept to him. The Ashimar is going to be assigned to Zola's team, but since it hasn't arrived, he wants to use a mobile suit. There's only a gem available for use. Based on his bombastic reaction, he probably never piloted a Fetty mobile suit before. He takes off and meets with the base defense team of Nemos. They are fighting Hyzax and Marasai's. It throws Zola off as both of those designs look inherently like Zaku's. He also being in a gem is disorienting him. He shoots a base jabber. One friendly Nemo explodes, but it causes another base jabber to be taken down. The Marasai and Hyzax drop down on the ground, like many Xeon soldiers. Seeing the Federation take the Zaku design and use it for their own means is a great insult to Zola. That is when ballistic missiles come down on the base. Something approaches from the sky. 1 month ago, the AU launched an assault on Jaburo and the Titans vacated the base. Most of the operations were transferred to Kilimanjaro, but there were various bases throughout North America that assumed control of some operations. The Titans test team began their testing of the Fiber, while Elliot boards the Hazel Custom and Carl the Rosette. This was taking place at Nevada Base. They're heading to Kamchatka Base, strapped to ballistic rockets. They're shooting up into the stratosphere and dropping down to the Russian Kuraba base. They launch. Elliot is pinned back from all the G's, no different from your astronauts of yesteryear. He thinks humans shouldn't be attached to missiles. They go up and drop down to enemy airspace. Hazel and Rosette detach from the Fiver. The Fiver dives and transforms into mobile suit form, and enemies withdraw from the sight of the mobile suit. UC-0088. The Fedis pursue Kurishima as he drives through a residential area. He is trying to get to the freeway. His left side mirror is shot off. Well, it looks like they are shooting to kill, he thinks. Once on the highway, the Fedis can't be so reckless in public. As he speeds on the highway, the Fedi van stops following. A bright light immediately blares through the rear view mirror. It is a Fedi chopper. They really aren't playing around. It gets low and pursues. Too low for a chopper. Suddenly, the engine goes out on the helicopter and the rotors nip Kurishima's car. This causes him to spin off the freeway into an embankment with a forest in the background. The reporter pushes himself out of the car wreckage and notices that the helicopter crashed. He comes back to reality and shovels into the forest. He can't stand up, so he crawls on all fours. Audrey, Carl, Hendrik, Joanna, and Conrad talk over dinner. They're certain he is good on most of the charges, but the charges regarding the colony still remain up in the air. He needs to know everything. Carl says it was a hellish battle between the AUG, Axis, and the Titans. Everyone was split up. On this chaotic battlefield, it was hard to spot anyone, let alone comrades. Eliard went off on his own and told Carl he has a mission of his own. Conrad says if that is the case, he can't testify on the 2 remaining charges. After the fall of the Izmir, the Aswan took in all Izmir units. Before he even made it to the Aswan, Eliard got a new mobile suit. Murphy was injured and called over Eliard before he sortied. During this time, the mobile suit was destroyed and no one can confirm he didn't sabotage it. Carl says there is one man who would know this, his enemy, Gabriel Zola, who was there till the very end. UC-0087, Kamchatka. Gabriel Zola watches on as the Titans test team descend on Kamchatka base. He is in the Gym 2. The Fiver transforms into mobile suit form. He notices the Mars sign the Titan's colors, referring to Carl's Rosette. He shoots at Rosette, but his beam rifle is out of ammo. As Rosette aims at Zola, a missile barrage comes down. It is Gym 2's and Nemo's from Karaba. They tell Zola to pull back. Rather, he decides to pick up rubble and chuck it at the enemy. A familiar ex-Fedi comes on the comms to tell him that his Asimar is ready. Carl notices the Asimar coming in. It crosses path with the Fiver and transforms into mobile suit form. Eliard is taking care of Nemo's on the ground. He uses his thrusters and does himself a good old Amado ray jump and fires at the Ashimar. Zola says, nice piloting on the comms. Murphy recognizes that it is Zola. He wonders why he is fighting with the AUG now. He thinks Murphy is piloting the Gundam, but the Hazel pops up and says, oh hey, that's me. Karaba's forces were starting to run out of ammo, and Zola notices this. He transforms into flight form and makes his retreat. Back on the Izmir, the ship gets a red alert. Audrey is on standby in the Hazel Raw. The mechanics are adding extra thrusters and binders in a configuration known as Hazel Raw's second form. The RX 121-1 plus FFX29A Gundam TR1 Hazel Raw second form is the Hazel Custom with 2 Hurdudu G-parts attached. This gives the unit 4 binders. The Hurdudu's nose sensor unit can also be used as a connector for shield boosters. This can also equip the gap lamp booster and create insane levels of thrust. Because of this, the unit focuses on long-range hit-and-run tactics. Weapons include 2 beam sabers, Vulcans, a shield booster, a beam rifle, and a long blade rifle. It also has multiple multi-purpose launchers. Thrusters at the waist enhance the acceleration while negating the torque. This was based off of Audrey's own suggestion. The captain tells her that an AUG Zanzibar deployed 3 Nemos. Audrey launches. She doesn't need a catapult to launch. She uses her own thrusters and takes off. She activates sniping mode and points her dual long blade rifles. It hits one of the Nemos. There is a lot of power behind this gun. The 2 remaining Nemos spread out. Executive Officer Enrique Hammond is watching on the bridge of the Izmir along with Captain Schroeder. These 2 have a past and were former mobile suit pilots. Schroeder is the kind of man that will make himself the villain if it means his crew survives. Hammond says that Audrey's battle style is familiar. He mentions she is like the Dendrobium pilot from Operation Stardust. Schroeder reminds Hammond that the Dendrobium doesn't officially exist. Remember, if you ask Federation officials about the events of Stardust Memory, they will deny it. They'll just go, nope, don't know what you're talking about. Audrey successfully takes down the remaining 2 units. UC-0088. Conrad is confused that Zola was originally a Xeon remnant before joining the AU. They were barely scraping by with their mobile suits on the verge of falling apart. Carl says that since UC-0085, this Gabriel Zola seemed to be obsessed, specifically over the Gundam and Kompe Island, or Solomon as they call it. Many Xeon soldiers from the 1-year war heard stories of the Gundam, so it makes sense. But the irony being here that the Gundam became a symbol of the AU during this time. Conrad's friend Earhart, who knows all the records, never mentioned this Zola character. Many AUG members who were former Federation members ended up rejoining the military. But those who were Ayug with a Xeon background definitely didn't. After all, Shar took the same route as well. There are rumors that he rejoined Axis and is rebuilding a new Xeon. The first thing they need to do is find Gabriel Zola. They don't really have time to drag this trial out any longer. Joanna doesn't think they will have time to find him. She gets a phone call informing her of Kurishima. Kurishima told Joanna that he was shot by Fetties while fleeing from his home. They turn on the TV. The news mentions it in a 3-second segment and moves on. They're barely covering this accident. Joanna reminds Conrad that Axis is becoming a bigger problem for the Fetties. Some say that they are now going by Neo Zeon. If they are planning on making themselves known to the world, that means Zola might flee to Axis. That will make things more difficult for them. It was past midnight, but everyone is wide awake. He gets to work thinking of a plan. UC 0087. The Titans test team is prepping a shuttle back into space. There is a flaw. Their takeover of the space is merely temporary. Murphy jokes that it would be easier to kamikaze during this mission. He can actually enter into space on his own. He is going to protect the shuttle as it is vulnerable. Just as Murphy predicted, the red alert goes off, and Ashimar and 3 Nemos approach their location. Elliot wants to join Murphy, but he tells his subordinate to wait for him on the Izmir. This base has a rail system, which is a mini-mass driver system. Zola is amazed by the Fiver, but his unit is built for dogfights, and the Fiver seems like it's hard to turn around real fast. They're here to reclaim the base. That is when the shuttle doors open. Zola transforms into mobile suit form. Elliot and Carl watch the battle from within the shuttle. The Fiver is going to struggle with its small turning radius. Elliot insists he go out, but Carl says they are a test team, and they must get their test data back to the ship. The Asimar flanks the Fiver. The Fiver sheds its giant armor, revealing the Gaplant Hyrule underneath. Murphy's speed increased to unimaginable levels. It's like Piccolo taking off his weighted armor. Murphy takes out the Nemos with ease and begins fighting Zola. That is when the shuttle launches into space. Zola transforms into flight mode and retreats. UC 0088. Kurishima is fleeing into the forest. He is going to lay low until the fires die down. He thinks he should move to another town and lay low. He reflects about how the media portrays the Federation and the Titans as two sides of the same coin. The Ayug were painted as freedom fighters fighting for space rights, but even their motives were backed by corporations. He didn't write the article just to run and hide. He calls Joanna and informs her of the situation. He reveals that this forest, which is in Nevada by the way, is entirely artificial. Well, yeah, it's in Nevada. He heads to town and gets some water at a fast food joint. He then eats a burger and dials Michael Chang. Kurishima tells him of the situation and he wants to publish his piece. The paper is currently selling like crazy. New Carson City is a military town, so it shows that the readers are fed up with the decision of the current leadership. Chang wants a follow-up piece. Kurishima will have it in his inbox ASAP. He heads to a local church that takes in homeless and asks for shelter. He can't use his credit cards at a hotel, giving away his location. In his bunk, he whips out his phone and writes his follow-up article. He is no longer writing for Joanna. This is for himself. It took him about 2 hours to complete. After a few drafts, he sends it off to the editor. He eventually drifts off to sleep. UC 0087. A new squad came to the Izmir and the mobile suit deck started to get cramped. Ever since Kamchatka, the test team has been integrated into assault forces. Murphy is now using Hyrule, Elliard the Hazel Custom, and Carl the Advanced Hazel. Audrey runs support where needed. Commander Enrique Hammond briefs them on the next operation. They are to attack Rosa Gigantea. This is a Levian Rose-class ship that is currently orbiting Earth and intersects in between Kompe Island and the Gates of Zidane. Murphy's squad will lead the attack. They are to capture Rosa Gigantea, but if that can't happen, they are to destroy it. Murphy and Elliard launch. Conrad's Advanced Hazel is equipped with a sniper loadout. Audrey launches in the Herdudu. Following them is the second squad, consisting of a Marasai and 2 Hyzaks. 2 Nemos and 1 Rick Diaz launch from Rosa Gigantea. Carl takes aim with his sniper rifle, but Murphy tells him to stand down. Behind the Levian Rose-class ship is the Zanzibar. A black Rick Diaz and 2 Nemos come from the ship carrying large beam cannons. He changes his targets and fires. They return fire with beam cannons. In a rare moment in Gundam history, they actually have a practical long-range battle. Inside the Rick Diaz is Zola. The way this mobile suit feels, he is certain this was made with Xeon blood. Of course, it was, as Shar and Sumeri, along with Granada Anaheim Electronics, are responsible for this machine. He is to protect Rosa Gigantea. He stays back to allow the Nemos to use their beam cannons, but they need to be mobile. He decides to push in. So much for practicality. Murphy engages with Zola. Carl pushes in towards Rosa Gigantea, where Audrey covers him. Elliard can't get the ship in his scopes, and there's too much beam crossfire. A white light consumes Elliard's monitors. He hears Audrey scream Carl's name. Carl's Advance Hazel was hit. Oh no! Except we know the future, so there's no tension. August, UC 0087. Iliard calls out to Carl. It was a Nemo that attacked Carl and his advanced Hazel. Iliard spots the Nemo and fires at it until it explodes. A distress signal comes from Carl's Hazel. He is immobile, but alive. Murphy goes to save him while the others cover him. Audrey falls back while Murphy retrieves Carl's mobile suit. Iliard is the one on the battlefield, outside of Amarosai from the second team. It doesn't seem like capturing Rosa Giganta is a possibility. They will have to destroy it. That is when Eric Diaz comes in. It is Zola. Iliard attacks, but the Rick Diaz dodges with ease. Zola asks if he is fighting Murphy or Iliard. He hesitates. This conversation may allow him to buy some time for the secondary team. He says to Iliard so long as he pilots the Gundam, people like him will always exist. Iliard's like, cool bro, and continues fighting. Zola has his back to the sun, a tactic used to blind your enemy. Iliard's Hazel Custom is hit. One thruster on the left leg is damaged. Another beam hits his right arm. He doesn't care. He just needs one critical hit. Zola shoots his chest, opening him up to an opportunity to strike. He attacks and strikes down the Rick Diaz. At the same time, the engine block on Rosa Giganta went up in flames. Iliard makes his retreat and asks for a status report on Carl. He is fine and kicking. They didn't take down Rosa Giganta, but it will be out of commission for some time. July, UC 0088. Kirishima woke up feeling uneasy. His gut feeling was right, as there were Federation mobile suits outside. They seemed to be looking for him. He can't escape through the window now. Luckily, the priest was able to stop them from searching inside. The Fedi soldiers take their leave. One homeless man asks him why the Fedis are after him. He tells them about the article, and he seems to be familiar as he has read it. He makes his leave as he doesn't want to cause any trouble to the priest. The homeless man follows him and says he has a tip for him. He says that the guy in the article is a Gundam pilot. The Federation, of course, denies any Gundams made from the Titans. The man says he knows someone involved, the pilot. He tells him that he was a former Zeon soldier turned AUG soldier. He is talking about Gabriel Zola. This makes things interesting for Kurishima. He was a crew member on Zola's Zanzibar after the Grips conflict. Only a few reintegrated, while others like him were discarded. The dude wants money for more information. Kurishima plans on verifying his facts first. The name of the homeless man is Joey. He said he has nowhere to go, so he will be here if he needs to find him. He is concerned that someone may be trying to monetize drama over a former superior officer rather than provide genuine intel. He takes off hiding in alleys. He needs to get out of New Carson City. He decides to call Joanna. November, UC 0087. Zola is just informed that the Titans have joined forces with the Axis. It doesn't mention that he ejected in an escape pod. He's just here after exploding. Why would they be working with the Earth-centric Titans, he wonders. He says he knows Haman, which is weird because she was a kid during the one-year war, and Zola's team has been destitute and hiding before becoming AUG members. He must be basing this off of vague rumors, because he don't know her. Ignoring this, he recognizes that this alliance is temporary. He does mention that his Rick Diaz won't be ready in time. It went up in flames. How much of it was left to fix? He will have to use a Nemo for now. He'll use it, but he doesn't like Federation mobile suits. They will make contact with the enemy in 3 days. Executive Officer Enrique Hammond is briefing the team on the Zanzibar. Murphy is currently on the Aswan, in a defense strategy meeting in regards to a potential AUG attack on Kompe Island. Carl went to get a package that will be transferred to their ship. During the battle with Rosa Giganta, Carl was injured. He went to Earth to get treatment and is delivering a package back to the ship while down there. They too are informed of the Titans Axis alliance. Hammond reminds them that Captain Schroeder hasn't lost a man, so they can't die and ruin that streak. Iliard is worried about the alliance. Audrey says that this is just a strategy to help them focus on fighting the AU. Audrey pilots the Hazel Ra while Iliard is in the Gap plant Huayro, gathering data on new equipment. They are to pick up the package codenamed TR6. An urgent communication comes down from the Izmir. 3 Nemos approach, one with a subflight system. Iliard moves in while Audrey covers the rear and the shuttle coming back. Meanwhile, Zola is on the flying armor, which Camille used with the Mark II to ride those sweet waves during an attack on Jaburo. The Hazel Ra fires the long blade rifle and damages the flying armor. This is above their heads, and he calls for a retreat for now. That was fast. Zola learns that the Titans are trying to completely split from the Earth Federation forces and wonders why. A moderate faction in the Federation is going to provide intel on the Titans' weapons. Zola knows he is referring to the Gundams. The Fedi conservatives will refuse to acknowledge that the Titans even have Gundams. He also mentions a faction breaking off from the Titans. I wonder if this is a reference to the new Decides. Zola volunteered to be the team to reclaim Kompe Island as the Federation is trying to take it back, and the fortress from the Titans. The AUG are helping overwhelming in this situation. To Zola, reclaiming Solomon has always been the dream. They are winning this war, but it feels empty to him. Iliad is on standby in the Hazel Custom. Murphy has returned and is on standby in the Gap Plant Huairo. They received intel on the AUG's attack on Compe Island. Carl wants to take off, but they're equipping the unit with the Primrose. It'll be hard without Carl on the battlefield. Executive Officer Hammond tells them that 6 Nemos are attacking. The Aswans, Hyzax, are the first to the scene. He wants Audrey to launch in the Herdudu. The Hyzax go to resupply when the AUG's second waves begin their attacks, which include 3 Nemos and 3 Rick Diaz's. He heads out and engages with the wave of enemies. Iliad gets into a dogfight with a Nemo. The Herdudu fires from afar. The squad of Hyzax are replaced with 1 Gem Sniper 3 and 2 Gem 2 high mobility types. Iliad thinks to himself, this sniper is no Carl. On the Zanzibar, Zola's new Rick Diaz refit is ready. He launches in the Rick Diaz Stutzer. The MSA-099 Rick Diaz Stutzer is an enhanced Rick Diaz and is designed to be a transformable mobile suit. However, it doesn't transform for some reason. This was created by Anaheim Electronics like the original. 2 binder units are added to the backpack. It has a winch unit and can be fitted with a beam rifle or a large wire-guided claw that opens to reveal a beam cannon. The suit is designed for large-scale fleet and fortress battles. Zola was inspired by the Titans test team and designed his own version of a shield booster called the Long Shield Booster. The pilot also tags Xeon Alive on the mobile suit. Weapons include a winch unit, a 2-barrel 55mm Vulcan phalanx, a beam saber, a missile launcher, missile pods, a beam pistol, and the 300mm clay bazooka. He doesn't wait for the second wave to return before he takes off. He engages with Iliad in the Gundam. Zola unleashes a missile barrage and takes out his beam rifle. Iliad is certain that Zola is the pilot of the mobile suit. He hears Carl's voice on the radio. He comes onto the battlefield in the Primrose. The emergency escape pod Primrose was designed after the loss of Hazel 1, as this is designed to attach to a Hazel unit. Its design resembles a mobile suit torso. This is very similar to the core lock system of the 1 Year War. However, when this version ejects, the head and the limbs all self-destruct, ensuring no data can be extracted by the enemy. It all leaves with the Primrose. This has various armament loadouts, which will be broke down with the Hazel Ausla. Weapons include the binder, which allows additional attachment, the open barrel cannon prototype, and a missile pod. He conveniently is carrying a rifle for Iliad to use. He is able to rejoin the battle swiftly. Zola and the third wave didn't last long, and they retreat. Back on the ship, the team's eyes are locked onto the TV. The AUG just took over Dakar. Shar is with the AUG and is giving a speech denouncing the Titans. They learn of an uprising happening at Compe Island. A shift has occurred. The Federation now views them as an eyesore, and much of the war efforts are now handled by Luna 2 and Grips. As Iliad and Carl head to the mobile suit deck, they find 2 men yelling at each other. One thinks that Shar's words hold true, while the other thinks he is just being selfish. There is a divide amongst the people, one that Iliad is just now realizing. Carl tells them that they need to follow orders and work towards keeping the crew alive. Carl's new Hazel Ausla is good to go. The RX-121 2P Gundam TR-1 Hazel Ausla is the advanced Hazel with the Primrose emergency escape pod. This is designed to help save the life of the pilot, but more importantly, saving all the test data. I guess this was before the escape ball. Because of the Primrose, the Hazel can equip various weapons such as subarms or extra sensors. This loadout still utilizes the long blade rifle with a barrel extension. This has different loadouts. The first armament type removes the subarm and adds a winch cannon and shield booster. The second armament type uses the multi-pods and beam rifle similar to the Mark II. Third is the tri-booster unit with the subarm and winch. The fourth mounts 2 Herdudu units to the mobile suit. There is also a full armor type. Other weapons include a beam saber, Vulcan guns, a shield, a winch cannon attached to the Primrose, and 12 micro missile pods. Carl was the one who named this unit. Iliad's new Gap Plant Unit 2 is running late. He wonders where Audrey is. Murphy says that she is on an important mission to delete all crucial test data on the TR series at Compe Island. They might have to abandon the fortress. The rebellion has been suppressed, but the fortress is still being attacked from the outside. Murphy says that is where they come in. They need to not let anyone get close to Compe Island to let Audrey complete her mission. Zola has a Zanzibar and Salamis Kai-class ship. They are launching mobile suits at Compe Island. He spots the Gundam and instantly attacks him. He happens to attack Carl, who is able to swiftly dodge. The enemy closed the gap, preventing Carl from using his shoulder cannon. He feels like he is being cornered and wonders if he is playing with him. That is when Iliad and the Huairo comes in and distracts Zola so Carl can use his beam cannons on the ship. Carl fires, getting a direct hit on the Zanzibar. It doesn't destroy it, but there is significant damage to the ship. The AUG retreats. The Titans were able to buy some time for Audrey. UC-0087. The Izmir crew hears an announcement from Captain Schroeder. The Titans at Compay Island are ordered to head to the Gate of Zidane. The Aswan will be joining them. Elliot wonders if that means they are losing Compay Island to the AU. That is when Audrey returns from her mission. This makes Elliot feel a sense of safety. July UC-0088. Elliot's trial was taking longer than expected, and the Commodore isn't going to allow it to go on for too much longer. They are in the middle of a power struggle between EFF and the Titans, and Elliot's life is on the line. No one has slept, and everyone is looking for Gabriel Zola, but they haven't been able to find him. Maybe he already went to Axis. Joanna and Comrade had to go into the office. Joanna comes in telling him that Kurishima called her, and he is being pursued by the military. He thinks they're trying to kill him. He is still in New Carson. Conrad decides to plan a meetup. He will host him in his house like the others. But since he is being pursued, they will have to be precise with getting him through his gated community. One thing is for certain, the article Kurishima wrote and Michael Chan published is actually doing something. Conrad returns home to find Hendrik, Carl, and Audrey watching the news. Michael Chan has been killed. The news states it was an accident, but Hendrik yells at the TV claiming the Feddies got him. To Conrad, this is outright tyranny, and is embarrassed for the system he is a part of. They still have no leads on Zola. He informs the others that Kurishima will be joining them. 30 minutes later, she arrives with the journalist. Conrad apologizes for Michael Chan. He was a true journalist who took risks. They must win this trial to avenge his death. He needs to shower, eat, and get some rest. After taking a shower and eating, Kurishima finally got some energy back in him. They tell him that they are looking for a Xi'an-turned-Ayug soldier. Hendrik says that this Zola doesn't seem to be in space. Kurishima says that he heard that name from a homeless person at the church yesterday. Conrad just got himself a new lead. Kurishima tells him that his name is Joey. Conrad wants to go talk to him right now. Kurishima wants to join, but Conrad won't let him leave considering what happened last time. Joanna and Conrad will go and find him while Kurishima rests. He tells the guard at his gated community that they are going to the cinema to catch a late-night show. Joanna is concerned of the rumors this might spread between the two. They head to the church to speak with the priest. He is initially hesitant and thinks they are soldiers, but he explains that he is a lawyer and simply looking for Joey to ask him questions. They wait while the priest grabs Joey. He comes over and Conrad asks him about Gabriel Zola, but he isn't giving out intel for free. Conrad pulls out money, but doesn't give it to him until he can ensure this intel is trustworthy. He was on the Zanzibar with Gabriel Zola. Conrad wonders if he is alive. According to Joey, he is. Last he heard was a month ago. He was working as a mobile worker in Las Vegas. This is why he couldn't be found in space. A month is a long time and he might have bailed for Axis by now. They want to go searching for him, but Joey says that he has his phone number. He offers money to Joey, but he decides not to take it. He says he isn't going to tarnish his pride as a Xi'an soldier. He tells him to go save his soldier. Joey says that Zola wanted to return to space. They better hurry. They make their leave back to the house. Joanna begins dialing Zola's number, but gets nothing. He is certain that the Commodore is going to want to wrap up this trial by tomorrow, and has to find a way to delay as much as possible. Once again, no one wants to go to sleep, and they begin researching construction yards in Vegas. January, UC-0088. In the Zanzibar, Zola looks out at the Gate of Zidane. Formerly a Bawaku, it is unique to see Axis next to it. By this time, alliances between the Titans and Axis have broken down, and now Haman is trying to ram Axis into the Gate of Zidane. Once the Titans begin fleeing, that is when Zola's team will begin attacking. He calls it Operation Whack-A-Mole. One thing they know is that, in the long run, they don't belong with Axis nor the AU. But for now, they will have to focus on surviving this war. His underling, Larson, says this all started when the Grips Gundam was stolen, referring to the Mark II. The Izmir is docked in the Gate of Zidane. Elliot is waiting on standby. The Aswan is capable of operating solo, but the Izmir is always with them. Executive Officer Hammond tells the mobile suit team to launch once they leave the port of the Gate of Zidane. Murphy launches in the Gap Plant Huayru. Elliot launches in the Gap Plant Huayru Unit 2. Carl launches in the Hazel Ausla. And finally, Audrey in the Herdudu. Out of context, that sentence sounds stupid. The three boys spread out while Audrey holds the rear. The AU Zanzibar makes its appearance. They are aware by this point that Zola always targets the Gundam, so they are expecting him to go after Carl. However, unlike Unit 1, Elliot's Huayru has a Gundam head, so he might be a target as well. Having two Huayrus on the battlefield allows them to test their opponent's reaction to the Gundam heads, a staple of their training at this point. The Richtius Stetzer and two Nemas launch from the AUG ship. The test team disperses as the enemy fires. Murphy instantly shoots down one Nemo. Elliot destroys the shield of the other Nemo. It rushes in. Carl and Murphy go after the Rick Diaz, while Elliot and Audrey attack the Nemo. The two enemy mobile suits eventually retreat. The Izmir pushes in and preps the megaparticle cannon. Murphy and the gang return to the ship. On the Aswan, a section of the ship is blocked off, and Hendrik and Pete can access it. They learn that in the area contains the new TR-6. February, UC 0088. Captain Schroeder gave a ship-wide announcement. He informs the crew of Bascom's death in battle. This, of course, comes after Jamatov Hyman's death as well. The AU has stolen the colony laser from Axis. Their mission is to steal the laser back. After the ship-wide message, he tells the bridge crew that if they lose it here, the Titans will collapse. He wonders who is going to be the pilot of the TR-6. It seems Murphy recommended Elliot instead of himself to be the pilot. They wonder if he is planning on passing the torch. Their goal is to ensure that the TR-6 on board the Aswan is safe, even if it means the Izmir going down to protect it. There is a briefing. Like always, the captain tells them not to die. Zola and his team are going to take down the Izmir and the Aswan, while Shar and the Argama go after the colony laser. Rest in peace, Emma. He heads to the mobile suit deck. This was Elliot's first fleet battle. They are in the same loadout as last battle. This three-way battle is making things hard on the battlefield. Elliot doesn't know much about Paptimus Sirocco, who is now in charge of the Titans. The Zanzibar approaches, and so too does the Rick Diaz and two Nemos. Zola, of course, goes after the Hazel Ausla. Elliot tries to get behind the Nemos. He is suddenly hit by the Rick Diaz, who is now protecting his comrades. He loses his camera feeds, and his thrusters are shot. He is dead in the water. The Izmir rocks as a mobile suit most likely hit the outer hull. Captain Schroeder orders everyone to evacuate the ship. If a beam hits the engines, they are all done. Executive Officer Hammond thinks this is too hasty, and they still could fight. Even the captain's face looks concerned. He says he will evacuate once everyone gets off the ship. Another Nemo crashes into the ship, rocking the boat. Hammond wants to stay with the captain, but he says to leave. He gets on the last escape pod. After he ejects the Izmir, and the captain goes down. On the Aswan, Captain Otto Peterson is informed of the Izmir. They begin to pick up the Izmir pods and cargo. He gets word from HQ to deploy TR-6. The captain wonders why they are telling him to deploy a new unit this deep into the mission that is currently going not well for them. For Peterson, the Titans are finished. Sending out a state-of-the-art Gundam would just cause more death without changing the outcome. Even if they win this battle, they have no real leadership. Sirocco is doing his own thing and not concerned with the state of the Titans. He also might be currently getting penetrated as we speak. However, the captain won't disobey an order. He tells the mechanics to prep the Gundam. He is informed of two Gaplants requesting to land. It is Murphy and Elliot. Murphy is badly injured and is wheeled out by the medics. But as he leaves, he gives Elliot a thumbs up. I believe this is where the story originally started. Elliot takes a moment to himself as he almost experienced death. That is when Hendrix comes over and tells him perfect timing. He is the new pilot. He looks up to see the Wandwer EX. We will break this final form mobile suit down next time. Murphy comes to the mobile suit deck even though he is badly injured. He says that he needs to tell Elliot something important. He must not sortie in the TR-6. This battle is over. If he launches, it will just drag the fight out longer. This is pointless. Elliot is confused, however, and he knows that he can't disobey an order. However, much of the Titans' high command has left them in the dark, as Bask and Jamatov are dead. As the two talk, someone behind them suggests that they not have these conversations out in the open. It is Captain Otto Peterson. He tells the two to come to his cabin. The captain tells Murphy that he isn't a part of high command and he doesn't make launch decisions. However, after launching, he isn't joining the front lines, but rather destroying the TR-6. Captain Peterson is of the same mind as Murphy, but Murphy must be reminded of the picking order. As Elliot runs back to the hangar, he hears Peterson call out for a medic from Murphy. Hendrik tells him that there is no time to add mobile armored components, so he has to launch in mobile suit form. He wonders if destroying the Gundam is the key to winning this war. Elliot launches in the Wandward. The RX-124 Gundam TR-6 Wandward is the final TR series mobile suit created for the Titans test team. This is the culmination of the TR project and designed to unify the best parts of the TR project. The model integration plan pushed development to be consolidated. This isn't necessarily one singular mobile suit, but a series of modular configurations. At the core of this is the emergency escape pod Primrose 2. The Primrose 2 has autonomous navigation capabilities. Various parts connect to this core using the Bunny's system. I get it. Because of its design, there are an infinite number of configurations, as we will see in Reboot. This culminates in the ultimate configuration known as Inlay. This unit has a subarm, a composite shield booster, and an eye field generator. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a long beam rifle, and a claw attached to the shield booster.
Gabriel Zola is on the front lines and is over this battle.
To him, he thinks that Axis got caught up in a power struggle between the Federation. The colony laser means nothing to him. All he cares about is the Gundam. His monitor picks up a new mobile suit. He finds the TR-6. Zola leaves the front lines and begins attacking Iliad. Carl finally landed on the Aswan in the Hazel Ausla. He tells Hendrik to refuel as he wants to get back out there. He was separated from Audrey and doesn't know where Murphy or Iliad is. Hendrik tells him that Iliad took off in the TR-6. He detoured from the battlefield to the debris field. A Rick Diaz chased after him. Carl knows it is Zola. He wants Hendrik to hurry so he could help Iliad. Carl launches and instantly heads towards Iliad, but he checks behind him and sees the Aswan in flames. He thinks about turning around to help, but it is too late. The Aswan goes down. Zola chases Iliad through the debris field. He is possessed with the Gundam. The captain and Murphy were right. As long as the Gundam exists, people like Zola will always be driven to fight. It must be destroyed. He finds a good spot when he is attacked. It isn't Zola, however. It is 6 Nemos from a Salamis Kai-class ship. Without hesitating, the Wanderwort takes out 3 Nemos and does damage to the Salamis Kai. The 3 remaining Nemos retreat. Gabriel Zola, still chasing Iliad, is amazed by the speed of the Gundam that he just witnessed. He fires at Iliad. All Iliad has to do is let him win to complete his mission. He stops in his tracks and the two just sit there in a standoff. Zola finally fires at the Gundam. It takes out the left leg, but Iliad doesn't move. An opponent that doesn't fight back is no fun for Zola. He scans the comms and tries to make contact with him. Iliad didn't touch the controls when he was shot. Zola contacts him. He asks what game he is playing. He tells Zola that his mission is to destroy the unit. He says if he wants the Gundam destroyed, then why doesn't he fight him? Iliad doesn't want to fight him for the reasons it needs to be destroyed. People like him will always lean towards battle when the Gundam is around. Zola fires again and damages the arm. He isn't going to fight back. He locks onto the Gundam, but doesn't fire. Instead, Zola opens his cockpit. Iliad wants him to destroy the Gundam, but his goal is to defeat the Gundam, not merely destroy it with him in it. If his mission is to ensure the destruction of the Gundam, he has to survive to ensure its destruction. He doesn't understand what Zola's true intent is. Zola tells him to come to his cockpit and they can both destroy the Gundam together. The situation is so weird that Iliad just laughs. He heads over to the Rick Diaz. The two hold the controls and fire at the Wanderwort, destroying the Gundam. That's hot. On the comms comes Carl's voice saying that he killed Iliad. Iliad tells him that he is alive and in the Rick Diaz. Zola opens the hatch and tells Iliad to go with his comrade. He says to live on. They thank one another and Zola makes his leave. Iliad tells Carl about a secret mission from Captain Otto Peterson. Suddenly, a light flashes through space. The colony laser goes off. A voice comes on the comms. It is Bright telling all remaining Titans to surrender. They aren't going to survive out in space and will have to surrender as well. Carl also decides to blow up his Gundam. He has the Primrose, so they could still make their escape. It's better than it falling into the hands of the AU. February, Universal Century 0088. The battle over the colony laser has come to an end. Of course, we know the damage done to both the AUG and the Titans would give Haman the opportunity to start the first Neo-Zeon War. July, UC 0088. Conrad and Gordon step up to Commodore Milkoff's bench. Gordon says that the defense is stalling with no clear motive and wants swift proceedings. Conrad says that he is trying to find a new witness, but it will take some time. Because of the time it will take, the judge denies his request. He wonders if the Commodore is colluding with Gordon. After all, once that Mark II was stolen by that young lady, the Gundam became the face of the AU, and they might want to distance themselves from all things Gundam. It is clear the military-industrial complex and the EFF want to distance themselves. But the question is it the Federation pulling the strings, or is it AE and the military-industrial complex? He has to buy time. Conrad mentions that this is pertinent evidence, but the Commodore says if he can't be summoned soon, then he needs to make his closing arguments. He asks for a short recess before making his final arguments. The judge grants them 1 hour. The team is desperately trying to get a hold of Zola, but he can't be found. Being a former Zeon and AUG soldier makes it harder. Carl asks Kirishima if he still has the article he was going to publish before Michael Chan died. He has it on his phone. He should start sending the article all over the dark web. Maybe it might even get the attention of Zola. At Conrad's office, Joanna was being overwhelmed with calls when she gets a call from someone who remains anonymous that wants to speak to the legal team handling Iliad's defense. She asks if he is Gabriel Zola. He says he will call back later and hangs up. Court is back in session. Gordon gives his final arguments. Without Gordon's testimony, Elliot is most likely to be found guilty. It was the defense's turn to speak. Before starting the argument, he moves to appeal to have the trial open to the public. Everyone in the courtroom gives him a glare. Conrad has the necessary documents for this appeal ready to go. Elliot asks if this is possible. He says it is the only move he can make to delay the verdict from being made. This appeal allows for the court to be adjourned for the day. He tells Elliot to trust him as he heads back to his cell. Conrad has no time to waste. Joanna informs Conrad of the call she received earlier. He tells her to forward all calls to his cell phone. Conrad heads home early to find everyone happy. They found Gabriel Zola and he happens to be in New Carson City. It happened to be the pastor from earlier that helped him get wind of his location. Conrad felt the urge to thank God in that moment. He heads to the shelter to meet up with Zola. As he makes his leave, Joanna calls him. The mysterious man called again, and he forwards his call to his cell. He asks if he is defending Elliot. Conrad wonders who he is. He is in shock upon hearing their name. We cut directly to the next day where the trial picks up once again. Commodore Milkoff denies his request for a public trial. Elliot believes that the death penalty now awaits him. Before his closing arguments, Conrad would like to call a new witness. He calls to the stand Gabriel Zola. Zola tells Conrad that he was an AUG soldier at the Battle of the Colony Laser. His mission was to take down the Titan's Gundam. He says Elliot was the pilot of said Gundam. Zola states that he was under orders to destroy it. Gordon objects, but surprisingly it is overruled by the Commodore. He then mentions that the Gundam would sow doubts on the battlefield and cause more bodies to pile up during the operation. Gordon objects again, this time sustained. He has to focus his line of questioning to the facts and not speculation. If Elliot launched in the Gundam, would this cause more chaos on the battlefield? He says absolutely, as he witnessed the Gundam take out 3 Nemos and a Salamis Kai in a second. Conrad has no further questions. Elliot is amazed that his questioning ended so short. Gordon begins cross-examination. He asks about communication with Elliot. Gordon says Minovsky particle disruption wasn't bad in the Shoal Zone, so they can communicate fine. He asks if he is certain that he fought a Gundam. Zola spent most of his life hunting the Gundam. He is absolutely certain. Gordon ends his line of questioning. However, Conrad has one more witness. He calls to the stand Wes Murphy, leader of the Titans test team. Conrad asks if he was fighting on the same battlefield. Murphy says yes, however, he wasn't by his side. He explains how he told Elliot to destroy the Gundam before Captain Otto Peterson came to officially give him the same order. Murphy happens to have a document of those signed orders. He gives it up for evidence. Gordon doesn't cross-examine Murphy. After a brief recess, they reconvene to hear the verdict. The Commodore gets right into it. On the first charge of involvement in the Colony 30 incident, not guilty. Violating flight regulations with the Ashmar, not guilty. Desertion during the Colony incident, not guilty. Next, destroying a new weapon without authorization, not guilty. Conrad knew that at this point it was most likely a win, but Elliot was more focused than his butthole puckered. Milkoff says that all testimonies referring to the weapon in question as a Gundam remains unverified and won't be entered into the records. That's not sketchy at all. Commodore Milkoff bangs his gavel. This trial is over. Elliot salutes, but Conrad gives him a hug. Murphy tells Elliot that after he was injured, he was sent to Earth and placed under house arrest for the past 5 months. He said once he saw the tabloid, he slipped out to find them. Conrad says his testimony saved him. They have a party later that night to celebrate. The Titans test team is reunited once again. But after tonight, they will all go their separate ways. Carl will head back to the Colony Public Corporation, while Hendrik and Audrey head back to the moon. However, Murphy and Elliot are still enlisted. Conrad needs to find them a post. Joanna pours Conrad a drink. He thanks her as he couldn't have done it without her. Conrad mentions Kirishima is totally into her and she should go talk to him. As she talks to Kirishima, Conrad notes that it's nights like this that he wished could last forever. Elliot receives a summons to headquarters. He is to report to the Earth Federation Forces Officer Academy, the place where he and Carl once studied. He heads there to find Conrad and Murphy. Conrad pulled some strings. Murphy and Elliot are going to be mobile suit instructors. Neo-Zeon is ramping up a new war. It is up to them to help train as many mobile suit pilots to take down Haman's forces. Elliot stands at attention with determination. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Advance of Zeta Flags of Titans. This was such a fun ride. I know a lot of you love the crazy mobile suits of the Titans test team, but the courtroom drama was the most intriguing part of this all. However, I don't like that everyone was conveniently in New Carson City to testify right at the last moment, but it is a minor gripe. Now that we have concluded Flag of Titans, we will eventually cover AOZ Reboot. But first, we must continue our coverage of Gundam Sentinel. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, Elliot will go on to train a bunch of amazing soldiers, but Haman will ultimately be taken down by a bunch of kids. Peace.